Selamat sore Bapak-Bapak, Ibu-Ibu. Ya, senang sekali melihat saudara-saudara boleh datang untuk modul Emmaus Center kali ini yang pertama di tahun 2019. Ya, kami menyambut untuk saudara-saudara dan bahkan mungkin yang pertama kali datang ke kampus ini ya. Boleh saya tahu kalau yang pertama kali datang ke kampus ini, wah cukup banyak ya. Terima kasih. Ya, senang sekali Bapak Ibu saudara bisa melihat kampus kami dan mengalami ya interaksi selama 2 malam ini ya. Dan kami menyambut gembira untuk peserta yang datang dari berbagai gereja yang terlibat mungkin di dalam pelayanan seperti tema kita, pembimbingan atau konseling pranikah ya. Jadi kita punya keragaman di sini dari berbagai denominasi dan bahkan mungkin juga ada yang para church, mau saya nggak gitu hafal persis semua lembaga atau institusi yang mengutus, tapi kelihatannya ada. Dan nanti mungkin bisa terlibat di dalam interaksi atau diskusi yang ada. Kami juga menyambut bahkan ada dari luar kota yang saya tahu dari Palopo ada, dari Makassar ada datang ya. Jadi senang sekali untuk peserta-peserta yang datang dari sangat jauh, dari bagian tengah atau bahkan hampir ke timur Indonesia. Ya, welcome. Selamat datang ke kampus STT Amanat Agung. Dan Emmaus Center memang adalah sebuah unit di bawah di dalam STT Amanat Agung ini yang khusus menyelenggarakan berbagai modul yang diusahakan untuk bisa membantu memperlengkapi para hamba Tuhan maupun kaum awam di gereja atau di lembaga pelayanan dengan berbagai topik yang kiranya bisa membantu mereka. Jadi kami sudah beberapa tahun ini menyelenggarakan berbagai materi dan modul untuk baik yang misalnya tentang spiritualitas anak, ya tentang yang terkait dengan musik, ya dengan pengajaran juga teologi dan sebagainya. Dan kali ini kita mengambil tema current issues and challenges in Premarital counseling ya. Jadi isu-isu terkini, isu-isu dan tantangan terkini dalam konseling pranikah ya. Nah, sebelum saya memperkenalkan pembicara, saya juga mohon maklum kalau ruangan ini terkesan memang agak tanda kutip aneh gitu ya. Pertama mungkin kesannya agak gelap, kedua kalau Bapak Ibu lihat plafonnya juga enggak seragam, lampunya juga enggak ini karena memang ini adalah ruang yang baru dirombak dan masih dalam tahap renovasi ya. Kelak ini mau dijadi satu ruang yang teater sifatnya, jadi ada kelandaiannya gitu ya. Jadi ini belum diapa-apain lagi, dari lampunya masih model setting yang lama. Jadi mohon maklum kalau cahaya terasa kurang ya, bahkan mungkin kalau ada yang merasa agak sedikit panas karena ini memang tadinya 2 ruang yang berbeda dijadikan satu. Ya, kami harap masih tetap bisa cukup nyaman untuk malam ini ya. Nah, baik, saya akan memperkenalkan pembicara untuk malam ini, yaitu Ibu Esther Dang ya. Saya persilakan Bu Esther untuk berdiri. Kita beri sambutan kepada Ibu Esther. Terima kasih Bu Esther. Bu Esther Dang ini berkebangsaan Vietnam ya. Jadi memang seperti yang sudah ditulis di dalam poster atau brosur, materi ini akan disampaikan dalam bahasa Inggris tanpa terjemahan karena memang waktu kita tidak panjang ya, nanti ada break setengah jam untuk makan malam dan setelah itu mungkin sesi-sesi seperti ini justru menariknya ditanya jawabnya karena banyak dari pengalaman Bapak Ibu Saudara yang bisa di-sharingkan, ditanyakan, justru itu yang bakal menuntut memakai banyak waktu ya, sehingga kita penyampaian materi tidak mempergunakan bahasa Indonesia ya maaf, tapi di outline yang dibagikan kepada Bapak Ibu Saudara sudah sebisa mungkin diterjemahkan ke dalam bahasa Indonesia, sehingga harap itu bisa membantu sekiranya kalau dari penuturan, penyampaian atau presentasi materi yang dalam bahasa Inggris ada yang kurang jelas atau kurang dimengerti, semoga terjemahan outline ini bisa cukup membantu. Dan itu dikerjakan oleh suami dari Ibu Esther yang adalah dosen tetap STT Amanat Agung, Pak Surip ya. Saya tadi sudah bilang Pak Surip, saya sangat appreciate dan terima kasih untuk kerja kerasnya ya, dan saya sudah janji mau belikan dia sarapan 1 kali ya untuk upah tanda kutip menerjemahkan materi ini. Ya, nah baik Ibu Esther ini berpengalaman lebih dari 5 tahun sebagai senior rehab counselor di Singapura, baik untuk pribadi maupun pasangan dan juga keluarga. Ya, jadi memang sangat berpengalaman dalam membimbing untuk sebagai senior rehab counselor. Ya, jadi Bu Esther sendiri adalah lulusan program M.Div dari Trinity Theological College Singapura dan juga MA ya in Psychology Counseling in Marriage and Family and Mental Health dari Gordon Conwell Theological Seminary di Amerika. Jadi saya kira perpaduan yang sangat tepat, orang tanda kutip orang psikologi, orang konseling tapi punya dasar teologi yang cukup karena melewati program M.Div ya. Dan kemudian juga seorang Certified Facilitator for Marriage Preparation and Enrichment dari Amerika, juga seorang Master Clinical Member dari Singapore Association of Counselor, ya, jadi punya berbagai sertifikasi untuk counseling dan untuk membantu banyak keluarga dalam berbagai pergumulan mereka, begitu ya. Jadi kita sungguh bersyukur ada pembicara yang memang kompeten di bidang ini untuk menyampaikan materi tentang Premarital Counseling ini. Baik, saya akan persilakan Ibu Esther untuk bisa memulai sesi ini dan seadanya nanti kalau ada yang mau tanya jawab, silakan. Kalau memang Bapak Ibu merasa agak kaku dalam bahasa Inggris, silakan tanya dalam bahasa Indonesia, ya, karena Ibu Esther sebenarnya cukup mengerti bahasa Indonesia, ya, hanya saja mungkin nanti menyampaikannya dalam bahasa Inggris, ya. Kalau seandainya benar-benar ada yang butuh terjemah nanti ya, bisa dibantu. Ya, sebelumnya kita berdoa dulu ya, sama-sama kita berdoa. Bapak, terima kasih untuk malam hari ini kami boleh bersama-sama di dalam modul Emmaus Center untuk membahas isu-isu dan tantangan terkini dalam Premarital Counseling. Kami bersyukur untuk Ibu Esther yang sudah bersama-sama dengan kami dengan segala pendidikan dan pengalaman pelayanannya. Kiranya Tuhan pakai untuk membagikan banyak hal yang boleh memperlengkapi kami, para hamba dan pelayan yang khususnya menggumuli bidang bimbingan kepada para pasangan pranikah ini. Biar Tuhan sendiri akan memberkati 2 malam modul Emmaus Center ini, sehingga menjadi satu interaksi dan diskusi yang bermanfaat, yang berbuah, dan menambah wawasan bagi pelayanan kami di institusi masing-masing. Terima kasih Tuhan, berkatilah 2 malam dalam acara Emmaus Center ini untuk kemuliaan Tuhan Yesus Kristus, dan demi nama Tuhan Yesus kami bersyukur, berdoa. Amin. Saya persilakan Ibu Esther.
Good evening to everyone. I hope that you can understand my English. Yeah. So if you don't understand my English, you can ask the one sit next to you. Yeah. I'm humble to be given this opportunity to share with you and also to learn from you. As I see you all coming, I see your name and I look at the church you are coming from. I believe that many of you are more senior in pastoral work than my experience. I experienced pastoral ministry 5 years in Batam when I served with my husband in GKI Dutamas. But then from there we moved on to study counseling and God lead us to STT AA. So currently I serve as a student counselor here and also as a clinical supervisor and counselor at Line Spring. So I do see many couples and also individuals struggle with their issues. So please feel free to ask questions and to raise up some of your concern. I think first, though the time is short, but it will be better for us to just spend 2 minutes or 3 minutes to get to know a group about 4 others. Can you move from your chair? Just introduce yourself to about 4 others and then say where you are from. Yeah? Okay, please. Yeah? Please, get to know the new person. Yeah? Okay, we have not finished yet. Now I would like you to form a group of about 5 persons in each group. How many of us here? 8, 4. Yes, so please form a group about 5. So don't form in a group that you are familiar with, because then we can have some discussion. It's easier later. So can you sit, those who near around you, form a group of 5? Okay. In your group, can you share what brings you to these 2 nights of learning? What issues, what concern, what question you have in mind when you decided to come here? So please write down. Yeah? In a group. So some of you can share, one will write down. Is that clear? Not 2. Every one of you will share your struggle, your concern, or the issues that make you decided to come to this 2-night training. What are the struggles about premarital in your church? Okay. Are you done? Not yet. I think later you discuss, yeah? So now please turn the chair back. Yeah? Can each group give me one? Yeah? Can each group give me one of the issues that you have shared? Yeah. Okay. Can I have the group at the back? Just share in Bahasa is fine.
Ya, ada 2 yang sempat sharing tentang alasan. Oh, ini. Okay. Here is Pak Sadra. He joined this training because he understand how important is premarital counseling theologically. In God's purpose, it's very important. So it is important for him to equip himself to serve in this.
Thank you. Wonderful. Next, can I have the group here? Here. Yes.
Di kelompok kami yang sempat di-sharingkan adalah penanganan untuk anak tiri dan anak asuh. Apa ya? Stepson.
Okay. Stepson.
Itu. Dan
Thank you.
pentingnya family ministry gitu di dalam gereja. Gitu.
Thank you. How about the group in the middle? Yes.
most of them are the coordinator and pastor. And one of the mom, they want to equip themselves to help the couples in their marriage problem. I think that's...
Thank you. Thank you. How about the group at the back? Yes, please.
Okay, in generally, our group thinking about this session, how to equip a couple, young couple before they married, and how to handle many problems that after married. So we can translate this program to our church to help a young family or the old family.
Thank you. Wonderful. How about the group in front here? Can I hear from one of you? Yes?
As a Christian, we know that many people even affairs in church. Okay. So the question is, what is actually the church giving as a premarital counseling before they got married, before being blessed by the reverend? What is actually being given to them? Whether this is enough to make them stronger and challenge all the temptation and so on.
Thank you. Thank you. Wow, you all come with great expectation, yeah? Let's see how we can cover within these 2 days. Not 2 days, just 2 nights. So we have two nights. And then the first day, I will cover with what premarital counseling is, why churches need to provide premarital counseling, the goal of premarital counseling, the basic content covered in premarital counseling, and the current challenges from 1 to 3, covenant, contract, happiness, holiness, and living. And then the second day, I will cover another 3 challenges. So we will go into the content first, but please feel free to stop me anytime. What is premarital counseling? The premarital counseling basically is a course to prepare the couple to be ready for their marriage. This is a course, it's a training, it's an education to guide and to prepare couples to be ready for their marriage. But what normally pastor or lay leaders in the church face is what? Couple already decided to get married, right? And then they come to the church, the last requirement, okay, in the list of their prepare for their wedding, the list have to fulfill the requirement of the church premarital counseling. And they are not excited about that at all, right? It's just something that they have to get over so that they can get the wedding blessings in the church. So, and then many couples are actually, they aware of the negative character or the aspect of their partner, but they thought, this will improve after we are married. So, love is blind, right? So they are in love, they blind. Even though we say, actually they know, but they say, it will get better, right? And then when they are dating in their courtship, they hardly or talk very little about finance habit and expenses. None of them will say how much I earn and how I spend the money, right? It's a private matter. And that matter actually one of the main factor in the argument. And then they are not aware of their expectation of marriage, so they set themselves up for disappointment. Okay, and many also are not aware of how serious their relational baggage that they bring into the relationship. All of us come from broken family. So we have whether a small or big baggage with us. And many of us are not aware that how we bring along that baggage into the new relationship. And then because we underestimate the impact of sin in our life. So it's all covered by romantic light. So we don't see any problem is big at all, right? We are in love, we can conquer everything will go fine. That's what we normally thought, or couples thought before they get married. Many are not aware. And so another point that when we premarital counseling, we need to pay attention to the person ready for marriage. When do we know a person is ready for marriage? So here, the person ready for marriage is a person differentiated or individuated person. It's a person who is sure about his or her own identity, mature, who decided to share himself or herself with others. It's ability to be intimacy. So the first one, differentiated, is identity. And then decide to share himself or herself with others, intimacy. And then without losing integrity. So here is with another eye, integrity, to know what to do the right things, do the right thing. And to engage in good works, productivity, being accountable to God and one another, industriousness. So we have the 4 I here, identity, intimacy, integrity, and industriousness. So how can we know a person who is ready for marriage? The person who is clear about who he or she is. The identity, I am a person in Christ, rooted in Christ, my value in Christ, grounded in Christ. I know the value, my value is come from God, not from my spouse, not from my partner, not from any others. So the person who is mature and able to decide to give and to receive love, intimacy, without losing integrity to do what is right. Many people think that they are mature, but they have lost their integrity in the relationship, right? And we know that this person can lead a meaningful life, accountable to God and to one another. So why do churches need to provide a premarital counseling? We go to the next point. Sure, please.
When you said someone is ready to have a family or to build a family in Christian, whether there is a test or a questionnaire to the couples before they got married, whether they try doing some partnership.
Try some.
According to the culture, some stereotype mention that women should be at home.
Okay.
Men should be outside. They stop all the work. So whether it is discussed with the husband, whether they have a partnership in their life when they started their marriage journey.
A very good question. Sorry, may I know your name?
My name is Ellen.
Erna, Ibu Erna. Your question we will discuss tomorrow is about leadership, right? The headship of the family. We will talk about that tomorrow. So thank you for raising the question. So I would, and remember that this is not a training to be a premarital counselor. Yeah? Because if the training is for a mentor to conduct a premarital counseling, we will not have enough for 2 nights. I think that will take 6 months, intensive, with a lot of exercise, homework. Yeah. So here again, the content for these 2 nights will just cover the principle, the very basic principle of marriage and some challenges. We will not be able, but the headship of the family we will cover tomorrow. Yeah. Oh, I haven't explained. So nowadays, marriage is one of the most challenging relationships. The joining of 2 people in a relationship, which is intended to last for a lifetime, can involve great effort to develop and maintain. The very sad fact that many of us have spent more time to equip young people to get their driving license than the time spent to prepare for the couple to get married. Have you ever trained any young people to take their driving license? How long they have to learn their theory? They pass their theory, then they need to learn to practice. And then they practice with supervisor. Yeah? And then sometime I go along the street, I will say, learning, on training. So we know that the car go very slow. We know that if we give the key to a young person to drive without proper training, some bad thing will happen, right? But then, how many churches have married people and just let bad things happen? And then we are shocked, surprised. Even though we know that, sure, bad thing will happen in marriage. Bad thing will happen because they don't have enough preparation. So the divorce rate in Indonesia last year, I went to a conference, LK3, and one of the speaker professor from one of the university, she mentioned divorce rate in Indonesia, 50%. We don't have any statistic regarding Christian, but I don't think that is less than outside. Many couples that have approached with relationship issues. I came to Indonesia for about 3 years, and all the couple that I counsel in the center are Christians. And it's all about divorce. 2 already divorced. A few have a severe problem. And they all Christians. So in US, the statistic for the first marriage is 40%. The second marriage, 60%. The third marriage, 73%. And this is the statistic in the year 2008. So we don't know now, 2019, how. So the bad things happen if we don't really equip. So then Christian churches need to guide Christian couples to start and develop their marriage according to God's way. Why we need to do this? Many come from broken home where there is lack of Christian model for marital relationship. They don't learn necessary skill to relate to another person on the daily basis through bad and good times, in good and poor, during the time of plenty and time of need. They don't learn how to give and experience unconditional love. And it's very sad. There is one young man approached the counselor and say like this, I advised my mom to divorce my father. I said, why? Because he is violent. He hit her, and I don't think that she has gained anything out of her marriage. So the counselor asked him, so what is the reason for your mom to continue to stay? Or because she said because of children. But then I advised her, I said all of children grow up already, so there is no point for her to stay for us. We can manage ourselves. So she just helped herself by divorce, the husband. This is a young Christian man say that. So I'm not saying about the one that with no faith. This is a Christian man, that how he see his broken home, his parents treating one another, and he doesn't have a clear idea of what unconditional love is. So many couples, whether they realize or not, have demonstrated a willingness to sacrifice some biblical values for the sake of relationship, which means many young people, why we need to teach them God's way? And even before we teach, they already compromise biblical teaching for what they like, especially about sex, about cohabiting. So we need to know one another first, whether we are suitable to one another. So we try first to stay together. If we can get along, then we get married. That's the reason. Or some will say, it's very common now. And I know among the Christians, they say, it's a common practice. You just have sex. It's all right. That's, I hear, personally, from Christians. And that's how they persuade one another to give in and to compromise biblical teaching about the boundary, about how to protect one another. So then, the third point, many engaged couples spend too little time preparing for their marriage, and thus they are largely unprepared for the difficulties in marriage. So most of the time they spend is for the wedding, which is for 1-2 days, and not prepare for marriage. People don't know how to be married. Marriage expectations are often unrealistic high, and they often contribute to difficulty in the early years of marriage. There is one young man say this to the counselor. I wanted marriage to fulfill all my desires. I needed security. Someone will take care of me. Intellectual stimulation. Economic security immediately. That is how a young man think about marriage. And especially we live in the time that people focus on individual, on me, my needs, my fulfillment. And they have made marriage also one of their own fulfillment. I want to get married to fulfill my needs. And that often get them disappointed. The couple needs to require knowledge and skill to develop a successful marriage, but they often have limited insight into their own strength and growth area. Okay, we will go next to, yes?
About the point, or the third point.
Sorry. Oh, just now they refused to go. Yes. Yeah.
So what do you mean with the little time preparing for their marriage? Is it about the length of their relationship before marriage or the length of the pre-marital class? And is there any standard of how long is the best length for their preparation?
Many because they come into marriage too fast, too soon after they know one another. Yeah. So if it's just about the 6 month time, it's very short. Yeah. So it needs at least 1-2 years. And even when it's after that, the premarital, usually they require for about a year. Yeah. A year for prepare for marriage. Yeah, included the premarital class, which if we spread throughout standard, some will do fast like 8 sessions. Some will need 12 sessions. Yeah, and a lot of homework, but recommended about 12 sessions.
How about the couple with distance relationship? Can we judge with the same length, or they need more effective relationship as well as the class?
I think, yes, now because of the globalized, so some premarital have to do on the web, yeah, between 2 persons. The thing is this, sometimes when the couple are dating, what they are talking is about fun, entertainment. So they don't actually get to know one another. So it's harder for people from a long distance, because they don't see one another in action. They only know one another through talking. But once they see one another in person, doing things, it talk a lot more. The non-verbal, what you are doing right there in front, speak more than just 1-2 hours on the phone. So I share my personal struggle. When I married my husband, we are in long-distance relationship in that way. We study in the same campus, but after that, due to commitment, I went back to Vietnam to serve. So we are distant away from each other about 3 years. So both of us have a very tight schedule for our ministry. I enjoy my singlehood serving. He enjoys his singlehood and fighting in the planting church. So, and phone very expensive during that time. So then we are just say, hi, how are you? I'm good, I'm serving well. And then that's it, 5 minutes we stop, right? We cannot discuss further about money, about relationship, whatever, we can't. And then visitation, I think once per year he tries his best to visit me a few days. And that's the time that he exhorted as well. From the ministry, so we share mainly about ministry, and yet we don't talk about practical things. Once I moved to Indonesia, I tell you, I struggle a lot. And one of the things is this: minister, pastor, evangelist don't go through premarital counseling. Any of you here gone through premarital counseling? Wonderful. At least one of us here. The rest, we don't. We somehow survive by God's grace. But I remember, I cried during the first week of marriage. And my thought is this: why I'm suffering here? Why I love God and I love my husband, but I am thinking of divorce? I can't survive here. Who will know my struggle? And for me, it is real life in a way of we already serve, we know the biblical principle. Throw us there. Yeah, still human being, right? So we struggle. So here there is something that, as I learned this, it's not only about the couples in the church, but how about minister in the church, young minister in the church, who will take care of their marriage, who will help them to prepare. Please don't think that after they graduate from STT Amanat, they are master in marriage and in relationship. No, they don't know. And even more sensitive, pastor don't talk about money, right? Pastor don't talk about sex. Pastor don't talk about, so a lot of sensitive issues that we dare not talk about. So how is that bring over to the young couple? If ministers are not comfortable about their own finance, about their own sex life, about their own relationship, how they are helping to the young couple? We are bringing all of our lack and weaknesses to share with others. And pastor life should be perfect, right? So we give up a very front picture that we are perfectly happy couple. And we don't share with the congregation about the struggle in marriage that we face. And how they learn that we can keep the covenantal vow or commitment as we grow together, as an encouragement for the congregation to follow. So, sorry, I think I need to go faster, yeah? Okay, the goals of premarital counseling. To understand God's biblical principle of marriage, to provide realistic view of marriage, to help the couple to honestly examine, evaluate their decision for marriage in God's way. So Norman Wright, he shared his experience that when he helping couple, 20% of the couple that he helping postpone their marriage. Whether they, at the end, they evaluate, after they attend the premarital counseling, they evaluate, they find they cannot make the commitment, or they find that it's not the right time to marry. So that is something that I think in our church, I don't know, yeah? To my understanding, is common like this. The couple already decide of their marriage. They come to follow in the church whatever causes to pass so that pastor will marry them. But they are not aware the purpose of premarital counseling is this, to help them really understand what is the commitment of the Christian marriage and whether they decide they can make the vow or they can not make the vow. Then they can make decision in their relationship to stop the relationship and to be friends rather than to go on. Yeah? To prepare the couple to start and develop their marriage life with Christian wisdom and skill. They say that for those who conduct, to go through premarital counseling, it helps to reduce the divorce rate to 31%. Those who have attended premarital counseling, they have a survey, a study, show that 31% reduce divorce rate. So if, as pastor and church leaders, we want to do something for our congregation and to the society, we need to do something. for the premarital counseling. Yes?
Can you mention the Christian wisdom and skills? Would you define this example? What kind of skill that you mentioned to the couple?
Okay. I will explain here. Yeah? Thank you. It means you are very alert. I'm sorry, okay. Now, so the biblical principle of marriage, here will cover covenant nature, living, cleaving, becoming one, leadership in family, goal of marriage, and understanding personal differences, developing better communication, managing disagreement in the family, managing finance in the family, and parenting. So the wisdom and the skills are included in this. Of course, there are certain issues I don't mention here, but it's included in the biblical principle. Leadership in the biblical principle. Partnership.
That's a very hot issue lately because just one example. Just a couple of days ago, last week, one referent, a male, this is mid-age, mentioned my wife is getting better now. Why? Because now she's parking the car straight and not putting everything messed up, and do not forget to turn off the light. I mean, how come it's mentioned in front of the public by a reference to his wife? I mean, there's sometimes in the household, people still parking, mention this is responsible to women, but actually they're supposed to go together. Honestly speaking, I'm married for 43 years. My husband cleaning up my dishes after I cook. I mean, that's a partnership. That's actually I'm longing for to see that in the church material. I'm sorry.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. That again is about roles and responsibility, which I will not go into details. Those I will just cover a little bit tomorrow about the headship. But specifically, what is the man role? What is the woman role? Is washing dishes only woman role? Woman things, and only driving car is men? I will not go into that. But thank you. That is one of the, yes, helping one another. Yeah? Some current challenges for biblical principle of marriage. So as I go along with the biblical principle, I will bring up the challenges faced. Yeah? So you notice that for the, so I cannot go backwards, yeah? In the basic materials, I will cover the first part, the biblical principle of marriage, and mainly focus on that. I will not go into understanding personal differences, communication, conflict management, finance, and parenting. Because why? As I say, this is not a course to train mentor for premarital counseling. No. So I won't go into details. I just say, yes, this is the outline like that. And here I do bring with me one. These materials is used by GKJ Greenfield. Yeah? Developed by, I think, two evangelists in charge of the marriage, premarital counseling in Greenfield. And later, if you want to have a look, please feel free. I borrow from them, as I say that I will conduct the training here. And Greenfield, so far, I heard from people comment, that they like many young couples choose to go to Greenfield for premarital counseling. And they have quite a good of a group of mentor for couples. So I asked, can I see the model? And they have, I think, 12 sessions altogether, 9 sessions in the church and 3 sessions on the retreat. So this is for the mentee. Later you can have a look, and if you are interested, please contact the pastor over there. Yeah, I don't know. Perhaps among you, you might have some other materials that you use in your church and you find that is helpful. Please help one another. Yeah, please help one another. I will not able to cover all. Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay, so now we go. The first challenge, the nature of Christian marriage relationship. Nowadays, marriage is popularly understood in terms of contract relationship. So one of the latest challenges is the popular concept of contract relationship in marriage. So in the contract, marriage is a relationship of convenience formed by 2 persons decide. And it's individual rights over relationship right, where self-fulfillment becomes the ultimate reason for staying married. And they follow social exchange theory, each spouse trying to maximize the return of her or his investment in every area of the marriage. So people will ask, what can I get? What can I gain when I get married? The longing for personal fulfillment then gives great pressure on marriage and on both spouses in that marriage. When they cannot get anything, that's where disappointment, that's where they want to withdraw. And when the spouse fails to fulfill the expectation, divorce occurs. That's the contract, right? And in this contract, many Christians follow this. Many Christians, even when they marry in the church, they follow. So when you fulfill my needs, I submit to you. When you fulfill my needs, I will take care of you. I will follow you. So one have break that contract, then the other one will complain and withdraw. So here, the Bible teaches us that marriage is covenantal and it is designed by God Himself. So I think here I will not go into details, as I believe you, pastor and lay leaders, you know, yeah? Let us make man in our image after our likeness. So God created man in His own image. In the image of God, He created him. Male and female, He created them. Therefore, a man shall leave the father, mother, and hold fast to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. Because the Lord was witness between you and the wife of your youth, to whom you have been faithless, though she is your companion and your wife by covenant. So we are created in the image of God. The image reflects the nature of the person as well as the relationship. So the relationship between parents and children, husband and wife, are covenantal, reflected the image of God. The thing is, many couples, parents, they treat their children covenantal, but then to each other, not covenantal. So what happens is when the children grow up, leave the house for school, for marriage, these two don't know what to do with each other. So that's where they divorce after more than 20 years of marriage. You might question why they divorce after such a long year. Because why? They come in not because of covenantal. They both hold a contract. And the contract that we take care of our children. So with the children is covenantal. They never ask the children to do much thing for them. They continue to give. But when the children grow up, that's where they divorce. Yeah? So the nature covenant relationship is not only between two persons, but three here. The couple commit to God first, and then to each other. It is a triangular relationship where the couple focus on God's purpose for their marriage. And their relationship express God's grace to the other. They empower each other and submit to each other. And they develop intimacy in their relationship and discuss disagreement graciously. So here for the couple, if they are Christian and married, it's no longer when they talk to each other, it's a dialogue. When we talking one-to-one, we say it's dialogue. But as we become Christians, actually not only to our spouse, but when we are talking to other person, actually it's dialogue. We are talking, and then I'm aware that I am in God's presence. I know God's will. I know what's God's will for me, how to relate to you, and I am speaking up, reflecting. So actually there is one thing that is wonderful happen in a Christian conversation. That is no longer between two persons, but it's dialogue between three persons. So the covenant is start from God to both husband and wife, and then we connect to one another. So in this relationship, is loving unconditionally. So it is often said that marriage relationship, we are called to love our spouse unconditionally. This means we love our spouse without putting any precondition on him or her. However, loving relationship has reciprocal nature. Since loving act expect positive return from the recipient, so when the offer love is welcome or returned positively, the loving relationship will grow stronger. And when the offer love is rejected or returned negatively, the loving relationship will be weaker. I will show the diagram here. So here you see this. This is initial covenant. We are loved because God first loved us, accept us by grace, and then empowering. And then the degree of intimacy grow, which again, if it's respond positively, it will go deeper and stronger until the mature covenant. But then if the initial covenant here start and rejected, the relationship cannot grow. So even between a couple, one might start with conditional love. The other one might start with unconditional love. So what do you guess? The one who loves unconditionally will suffer more. Right? Will suffer more. But doesn't mean that unable to. Because every one of us, Christian, we have this. We are loved by God and empowered by Him to be able to love others. And as we learn from the commandment, love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, and soul, and love your neighbor as yourself. So in marriage, the neighbor is our spouse. many of us forget to treat our spouse as neighbor. Or we forget to treat our spouse as stranger. And the Lord say, treat your stranger well. Love your enemy. We don't do that, right? We don't do that to our spouse. But here, actually, that's the basic, that's the principle we should apply first. That God first loved us and enable us to love others. So as we teach for the couple, it's not about the attractiveness or the talent that attract them together. But at first, they need to respect one another because we know that the other partner is created by God, accepted by God, loved by God. So then, who are we not to accept that person? Yeah? So here, contract versus covenant. Oh, sorry. The contract is bilateral. It's two sides, yeah, from two parties, based on fairness, conditional, reactive, binding with authority, and breakable. So one party break the vow, cannot fulfill the promise. The other party is not bound with the contract anymore. Covenant is unilateral. It starts first, initial from God. So then, as it grow mature, it's bilateral. So both partners need to be able to initiate love, unilateral, yeah, and treat each other based on grace and mercy. Treat each other, love each other with unconditional, even with a condition here, yeah. We can see that if one person accept and follow God's covenant, will be able to love unconditionally. Proactive, empowering with authority, perennial, this lasting, right? Okay. I think this one I will go after the break, yeah? Okay, yes, please.
I'm sorry, keep asking.
It's okay to ask.
What's the meaning of proactive over there?
Proactive. It's not, okay. Proactive. I go back, yeah? Yes, I know. Okay. Proactive. You take initiative. Not waiting for the person to do something and then you react. But then proactive, move forward. Yeah?
Mostly women keep silence, right? Yeah, according to the culture, they mostly accept the husband's anger, whatsoever they're afraid. Even the crying though is like a stairs.
Oh. I will not give any comment, yeah, unless there is a specific case of in what context, yeah. So from different contexts and different family will have a different way of relating to each other. Okay. So between the contract and the covenant, the contract definitely fertile, able to break. The covenant will last forever, right? Lasting. And the thing is, the contract does work for many couples, including Christians as I mentioned. So that is where it's fair. Yeah? You treat me this, I treat you this, fair. And it's what? The only thing is when something happened, the husband might not be able to work and provide for the family, or the wife somehow had lost her attractiveness, no longer pretty, or unable to fulfill the husband's needs. That is where the contract broken, even in the church. So, I remember during my young day, in the pemuda, young adult, we say, to be sure, marry a Christian one. Sure, you have a long-lasting marriage. But then, actually, no. Yeah? The requirement should be, you marry consistently Christians to follow God's will, so then that person will be able to keep the covenant. Because without that, the person will still go into the contract, even as a Christian. Here I want to give an example. When I was in Singapore, I got to know this lady, the mother of 2 teenagers' kids. In her 40s, she's in the ladder of her career, very successful, manager level, so international, so she travel as well for the business. Somehow her husband broke down with mental illness. Also, he is a leader, successful in his career, but he broke down, very paranoid. He asked the wife that there are spies around, so they have to cover all the window by black plastic. So definitely he cannot hold the job, but he refused. He said, I'm not sick, okay? I'm not sick, so don't ask me to go and see doctor. You are sick, so you go and see doctor. He even said, there are spies around, spies our house, so you have to do that. And they actually agreed to hire an agent to, follow the husband, see whether there are people really follow him, want to harm him. So they pay quite a lump sum. But then at the end, say no, nobody follow. He say no, that's not a good agent. So he even suggests to get another. But then at that time, the wife was very frustrated. And he cannot provide the money. He cannot manage the household. She is thinking of divorce. But when she faced that situation, she went to seek for the answer, for the meaning. And somehow she found God. She became Christians. She decided to stay back with her marriage, with the covenant. She stopped working full-time, become a part-time worker, so she can really take care of husband. And what she did, she really go to the hospital. She record how her husband behaved and what he say. She record through her handphone and show to the psychiatrist. So the psychiatrist can diagnose and give the medication. And then she continued to cook and to give him the medicine through juice. She make juice for him to drink. And then he's stable, he able to thrive, he able to really do some little thing along inside the house, yeah? But really, he cannot work. A few years down the road, one day he say, you give me medicine, right? But he still take. I listened to this wife, hear her story. it's really bring me to tears. Such an unconditional love. It's a covenantal love. And she knows that God, Jesus, able to sustain her and enable her to love and to care for her husband in good health and in bad health, in wealth and in poor. That's what the vow that we say in front of God. But then we normally forget about that vow. I only love you when you have more money. I only love you when you are in good health. But we forget that we make a vow in front of God that in good health and in bad health, in wealth as well as in poor, good time and bad time. Yeah. So I will stop here. You have a question, please? Perennial is lasting, eternal, lasting, yeah, long lasting. So empower with authority is mean as the partner are in love, they will not manipulate each other to fulfill their needs, but they empower, they encourage, they support, they edify the other with the authority, with the power, with the gift, with the talents they have to lift up the other. Empowering.
Authority about God's given talents, God's given skills. So it's not about the person's authority, but God's authority within the person.
So my question, is there any empowering without authority? So what is the authority? Is it like Irfan mentioned, maybe it's the authority authorized by God or what?
Okay.
By the confident or by the contract? I mean, this is very important because lately I joined a 3 months session course, Women in Marriage somewhat, by the Christian authority, I don't know. They mentioned about this authority, about, the Nordam, kata tunduk, Ephesians 5:22 to 13. I mean, they mentioned about women should be bow down, give respect. That is the authority, isn't it?
Okay.
It's very important to explain what is the meaning of authority and without authority. So I give you more example. One woman mentioned the husband is a gambler. I mean,
Okay.
he wasted all the money for the family. Whether it is obeying, it is a must for the wife to obey the husband or not. They are both Christian. It happened. I'm sorry. I have a case also. I'm a counselor outside. So this is a case. And the woman, as I say, she's afraid to against God. So they treat it not a triangle, but as a staircase. So the
Okay.
second stair after God is the husband.
Okay.
Particularly if the husband is, I'm sorry, the priest. So they keep silent. When they even talk to me, they would like to quit. But the condition is so hard as being a woman.
Thank you. Thank you for giving that question. Right now, I don't have illustration to say, but that's definitely talking about the headship. Whether you follow the leadership, authority, or egalitarian. Egalitarian is equality. Yeah. So many in Indonesia culture, I can observe is still male dominant. So a lot of authority. Yeah? So authority is binding. You have to follow that. You have to submit that. But then we are talking about empowering covenant. That's where we will explain more, I think, tomorrow. Yeah?
So actually you would like to contrast between binding and empowering. Okay, I got it now. I got it. Maybe we can discuss.
Okay. Do I answer your question? Oh, okay, okay. Yeah. Is that clear, or you still cannot understand? It's clear. Oh. So here, perennial is lasting. So as you come into making a covenant commitment, is the commitment to God that you married the person, and the commitment to be faithful to the person no matter what. So because of that covenant is long lasting. You are secure. You are safe in this relationship. But here, in the contract, you will feel insecure, not safe. What if I fail to live up to the contract? What if I cannot work to provide for family? What if I cannot meet my husband's needs? What if? So because of that, the contract is conditional commitment. And one party break, unfaithful. The other one can, yes, I break my commitment now because you have break yours. So I don't need to keep my commitment. That is where they bring together to divorce. So this is the contract. As I do mention that the issue for us here is this: many Christians enter the marriage with contract. And they think it's the covenant. But actually not. So that is where when I cannot get what I want and expect in marriage, you fail to do what I expect, I break it. So if the two are able to sustain to a certain extent, they can accept and stay together. But then, as we see with the covenant, God loves us when we are sinners. He accepts us when we are imperfect and loves us, forgives us, from time to time graciously empower us, love us, encourage us, lift us up. And because of that, He is enable us to live up a covenantal marriage. So that is where it's long lasting because of God. So I think one of the things we face is this: hardly pastor asks, why do you marry? Right? Or he asks, but we don't ask, you come to this marriage as a contract or covenant. And ask the couple harsh question. Hard question. Hard means, what if one day your partner have commit adultery? What will you do? Can you accept that? What if your partner cannot give you the boy, the children that you want? What will you do? Will you still want to accept? We normally don't ask, right?
Do we ask them individually or as a couple in front of us?
In Pre-Marital Counsel, yeah. Yeah, the answer will be different. There is nothing cannot talk in the Premarital counseling. The principle is this: we talk anything. They have to be open. Because why? If it's not open in the session with pastor, they will not talk about this. Only later, bad things happen. I divorce, I go because she cannot give me the child that I want. I divorce because, and they can excuse, right? My wife cannot fulfill my needs, or my husband cannot fulfill my needs, I will. So because they are not asked hard questions. So Norman Wright, he actually say, ask the hard question and let them think and evaluate their commitment, their relationship. And it's interesting that I know two couples. They go to the premarital counseling and they, at the end, cancel their marriage because they realize that they are not meant for together, for each other. Another one already go to the wedding preparation, but somehow turned down because, again, they feel they are not meant for each other. And though it's very painful, I still feel that that's the right decision to make, rather than quickly cover up everything and then get married. Any other question? I think we need a break for dinner time. Please go and have your dinner and then come back at 8 o'clock. Okay, we go to the challenge number 2, the purpose of Christian marriage. So most couples who are going to marry design to have a happy family life. This is natural and reasonable expectation. Why this is a legitimate expectation and God blessing in marriage life, happiness is not the purpose of marriage. So if people want to get married to be happy, they sure will get unhappy. They sure will get disappointed in marriage. So, if God designed, here there is a quote from Gottman in the 7 Principles of Making Marriage Work. He say like this: in the strongest marriages, husband and wife share a deep sense of meaning. They don't just get along. They also support each other's hopes and aspirations to build a sense of purpose into their life together. Gottman is a Jewish, and he wrote books, not so-called Christian principle, no. He really write principle for making marriage work, and he actually integrate the covenant in the marital therapy. And one of the things that he present here, that he has, Gottman, he has a lab, they call couple lab in US, and actually they can predict 85% correctly. Within 5 minutes, they observe the couple in their interaction, and they can tell whether this couple can last or will go for divorce. They call couple lab. Yeah. So Gottman, he is the founder of that, and he wrote this book because he has worked to so many couples, and that is what he observed. One of the principles for lasting marriage is that they don't just get along. They support each other's hopes and aspirations and build a sense of purpose. They have a common thing to fight for. So here, marriage has a divine purpose. So for Christian, marriage is not all about to be happy together, but to support each other to fulfill God's purpose in their marriage and their life. Perhaps many couples forget about what is God's purpose for their life. And they think of marriage is just to settle with life, to just move on, get married, have children, and that's part of life. And then they forget about God's purpose for their life. That is where many problems occur, because actually both may not have a purpose for their own life. They don't have a strong commitment to God for their life. So it will be really hard if they come to marriage just for the happy. So here, God designed marriage that through this unique relationship, human will grow to maturity, reflecting God's character and fulfilling God's purpose in life. So God designed marriage that through this unique relationship, human will grow to maturity, reflecting God's character and fulfilling God's purpose in life. So we see here there are two very clear reflecting God's character to be more like Christ. And fulfill God's purpose in life is meant to serve God. So we see, as in Genesis chapter 1, 26 and 20 to 28, to be mature, to be like Christ. Imago Dei. So in marriage relationship, we are to be Christ-like. Marriage should shape us to be more like Christ. And then marriage will be helping us to have service for God. Marriage should encourage us to serve God more. This is somehow is opposite. We go to marriage to make us happy for self-fulfillment. Become self-centered rather than Christ-centered or other-centered. And that is where we go into the contract. We feel very unhappy. Many Christian couple very unhappy because actually they adopt from the world value, not from the Christian value, not from God's value in life. So they start off with the world value in marriage, and they feel very unhappy. So here, if we see marriage is actually a context through which God wants us to be more mature, to be like Christ, then there we both can serve God together. So Larry Crabb, he say in The Marriage Builder, husband and wife are to regard marriage as an opportunity to minister in a unique and special way to another human being, to be used of God to bring their spouses into a more satisfying appreciation of their worth as persons who are secure and significant in Jesus Christ. Larry Crabb, he say that everyone will have very two basic needs: security and significant. The lady will need more of security. The man need more of significant. Right? I want to do something significant to make a difference in the world. The lady will feel more to be safe, to secure, to be loved. But actually, anyone will have these two basic needs. And then he mentioned that how in this marriage relationship, we actually minister to each other. Husband will make the wife feel that she is secure, she is loved, she is accepted at who she is. And the wife will make the husband feel he is a significant person. He is secure in her love for him. How they experience God's love, God's grace in this relationship. So you can look at your marriage. If people look at your marriage, what will they see? Do they see two imperfect persons who will try to get the other to fulfill their needs and end up a lot of endless conflict and quarreling? Or these two imperfect persons who will love each other unconditionally? So if based on that, how can we help? In premarital counseling, we will help the couple to see the both personal goal of their life and their marital goal, and to see in what way they can adjust those goals and support each other to achieve them and to make marriage decisions. An illustration for this. There is a lady who in a relationship with a man. They both are Christian and committed. She is called to be, somehow she sent a call to be a missionary. But the man is called to just serve the local church. So as they are in the dating and looking into whether they can join together to serve, this young lady think, pray, her calling is clear, missionary to another country. And he also clear, he is called to serve this local church. So at the end, they both support one another by keeping each other as friends and not to join as married. Because as they see, that's a very clear calling. So marriage is not a purpose of life. Marriage is not any one purpose of life. So if you make marriage a purpose of life, then you get disappointed because you may get nothing out of that, but more of the tasks, the trials, argument, the differences. But then, if we see marriage is a very unique relationship in which God wants each partner to grow, mature in Him, to be more like Christ. And we normally think that the more you know me, the more you hate me. Because why? The more weakness we see in each other as we stay long. But then in Christ, I know you and I still love you and I accept you and I graciously forgive you many times and continue to support and give love and grow. That's how we experience the covenantal love from God to us. And that's where God wants us to imitate Christ. We are named after Him. He wants us to imitate Christ, to be like Christ in a way of love our partner. And that is a real test. Marriage is a real test of how we are really Christ-centered or self-centered. I think we all understand, right? Even we are trained biblical theology, whatever. We come to marriage life, we argue like a kids. Why you take my water? Why you don't fold the blanket? Why you don't wash the dishes? Right? That's all come out. Then where we ask, well, how to be like Christ? So this is something that is a mystery, right? It's a mystery in a way of, in that very intimate relationship, we experience God and how He purifies us and holifies us through our partner and through their weakness, not their strength. And that's where we are humbly learn to follow Christ in our marriage. So here I just want to mention that for those who stay single, your life is still meaningful. That is where when a person who has the gift of singleness, you have the purpose of life, you still grow spiritually in Christ and to be a fruitful person in other people's lives around you in the community. So, if God calls you or He gives you a gift at this moment of time to continue to serve Him, enjoy that gift. And if you decided to continue to serve God in the marriage, to experience the trial and many other in a very close relationship, go in it with faith, because there is a wonderful experience as well. So for me, those who really enjoy your singleness, you can enjoy the marriage life. But those who cannot think that you cannot survive being a single, then I think you will have hard time in your marriage, because that's how to test the maturity and your purpose of life and the concept of how you can give and take and able to decide for yourself. Okay, any question? I go to the last point for today. Yes?
Just some opinion. Based on the next one, 26-28, I think the purpose of marriage is immaculate. So, if the couple has a child or children, they must, quote unquote, make immaculate for about the children.
Yeah, definitely. But then, of course, I'm not talking. Thank you for bringing up this question. It's so wonderful to help me say that in marriage, when the Bible verse say the man leave the parents, cleave to his wife, and become one flesh. Full stop. Full stop. So the meaning of marriage is, how to say, complete with two persons. So some couples, God give them children, some not. So if you enter into marriage and think that must have children to make a meaning of marriage, then it's not right. Yeah? So here, again, many in the church, we have like feel like there is, if the couple with no children is like empty. But actually marriage, as God say, the man will leave the parents, cleave with his wife, and become one flesh. Full stop. Full stop. And we all know that children are the gift from God or trusted to the parents to raise them up according to God's standard. And one day they go. So if children become the purpose, the two, instead of connect to one another and learn to be one, they have invest their emotion on the children. So what happened that when they have conflict, they cannot talk to one another. They talk to the kids about their problem. So then the image deal, yeah? Here, the kids cannot see what is unconditional love between parents here, between the hate here. They can't see that. And that brings up the issues of how many children nowadays, they don't want to get married because they see how their parents treat one another. And it's repeat in their own family. It means when they have family, they have the children, again they talk about their problem to the kids. And so the kids become the third party, hear from daddy this, tell mother, and then mother talk to the kids, and then the kids will report back. Headache. Headache. I have seen many adult kids headache because of the parents. Yeah? So, is that okay? Yeah, thank you. So the last one, for today, not the last one. So here to leave, this verse called the husband to leave his parents, even his new family is staying together with them. The purpose of this leaving is to form his own distinctive family relationship by cleaving to his wife. And in this new relationship, husband and wife are regarded as one, without losing their unique identity. So now I mentioned about the challenge number 3. This about leaving. Yeah? To leave does not mean that abandon the original family relationship, or to dishonor their own parents. Or to leave behind the values and spiritual training that parents have given. Yeah? And I think in Asian context, honor your parents is something that is very strong, and we still teach the congregation that honor your parents. So what does that mean? That when we say leaving your parents, doesn't mean that dishonor or don't listen to them anymore, right? Later we will discuss more in case. So what does to leave mean? To shift the focus of attention from parent to spouse, a primary object of love and loyalty. So here, any child will have the full loyalty and attention and love from our parents. We connect to our parents. We are loyal to them. We pay our attention to them. But once married, the focus is moved from parent to spouse. And this is primary. This take over the priority. Priority now is your spouse, is the partner, no longer parent. Yeah? So to establish a new independent, responsible relationship while still honoring the parents. So then, married couple needs to create a clear boundary from the origin family so that they can be independent, financially, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and form a new distinctive relationship with their spouse. So here, I'm talking about the struggle or the challenge that we face in reflecting to this leave principle. We have to leave to marry. So some couples have not reached individuation or differentiated stage as they are not able to responsible for themselves. An example is Roger grew up in a well-to-do family in which all normal responsibility have been taken care of by his parents or domestic helpers. He has never held a part-time job, nor has he held accountable to make a good grade in school. So after a few months of marriage, his wife was amazed to find he has run up to thousands of dollars of credit card purchases and was writing bad checks as well. So when she angrily confronted him over it, he said resentfully, "Don't worry, someone will take care of it." So Roger is not individuation or differentiation. He is not responsible for himself, and everything the parents manage for him. So that's now he married. Say just everything, someone will take care of that. Who? With the wife? That's where the wife was shocked. The second, some are not able to shift their allegiance or loyalty from parent to spouse because of numerous reasons, such as financial dependence, emotional dependence, or connection, or their own mindset. I don't need to leave my parents, or physically by living so close. So I give an example. There is a couple who look for a pastor because of their marriage problem. The husband was raised in a Christian home. His parents were poor, so both parents had worked all of their life. On top of that, his father was an active member of his church, so often serving as a lay preacher. Unconsciously, he adopted the example of his parents as the model of how his own marriage should be. So he was always busy. He expected his wife, who also worked, to take care and managing of the household, do the shopping, raise their 4 children, while he occupied his evening with church work. So often he returned home from work to an empty house. Since his in-law lived near to the wife's office, she dropped off the kids in the morning and then go to work. And when she returned to the parent home for the evening, life was much easier, she thought. And then she just stayed with her parents for the night and continue. So they only get together on special occasion. So it was not so much an empty house that irritated him, though it was frustrating. The problem was much worse when they were all home together. His children lacked a sense of self-discipline. When they were hungry, they manipulate his wife until she got them some food. When they were tired, they were so disobedient that nothing could make them behave. So any suggestion to his wife was met with criticism that did not stop until he retreated. So their time together either filled with heated debates or cold silence. So in this situation, you see that the husband inherited from his own family, the father, right? Absent from home, busy with church activity, and with the direct influence of her parents that has undermined their relationship. So another struggle of living is the struggle of living is sometimes accompanied the struggle with letting go by the parents who are unable to let the children leave them for some reason. Out of fear of being abandoned, out of concern for their children's welfare, or their dream for their children. Okay. An example for this is, there is one man who dreamed to go to medical school. But because he came from a poor family, so he couldn't. So once he married, he would dream that his son will have a chance to go to medical school. So he worked and worked and worked, and all the money saved. So wherever the son got a good grade, wow, the son will meet with very enthusiastic father. So then, one day the son was sent to the medical school. And then the son came back to share two things with the father. The first thing he said, I hate the environment in the medical school. And the second thing, I met a beautiful girl. So he said, I decided to get married, to stop the medical school, and to take the offer as a taxi driver, that is the job that he dreamed. So similar story have many, right? Parents have dream, and then they want their children to fulfill. And because of that, for the good purpose or whatever for the kids, the children refuse to let the parents refuse to let the children leave for their marriage. Okay. The case 4. Some struggle of living caused by the wound occur in the original family relationship, which has not been healed. While the wounded person have tried to cut off the family bond in order to reduce the pain, as the wound have not been healed, they greatly impact his or her ability to cleave or form a new family relationship. For this, there are many examples, yeah? I give you one here. There is a mother who came from a broken home. Her own parents did not love each other. And she had grown up as an insecure girl without much loving support from her constantly fighting parents. After she has married the man of her dreams, it did not take long for her marriage to also turn into a nightmare. So the one and only child became her idol, the only reason for her to still want to live. So when this only child grows up, it might have great difficulty to become independent because the mother needed the child emotionally and had unconsciously possessed the child all her life. So for that, and the child grow up in that situation, also unconsciously thinking that my purpose of life is to make my mother happy. So once married, definitely create the tension between the mother and the daughter. And many times the mother will refuse to let the daughter go. So in this case, if the child needs to leave the mother for the marriage, she needs to handle a lot of things, right? So now we come to discussion. How shall premarital counseling deal with those cases? Now you can go into groups, the group that you just know. Any questions so far? Yes?
Do we consider that prenuptial agreement is a kind of a contract relationship rather than covenant relationship? Prenuptial agreement.
What?
Agreement, pre-married agreement, prenuptial agreement.
Prenuptial.
The agreement about separation of wealth.
Oh, the separation of wealth.
How to deal with that situation? As a pastor, we have to explain couple who have strongly will to do that. Do we consider this as a contract relationship, and then we have to?
Oh, separation of the wealth.
Yes.
Okay. Asset. Oh. Oh, okay. Let me think about that, yeah? But then because we have some question for discuss, I don't want you to take time. I will think about that, whether I put inside here or somewhere else. But then very good because it's a practical issues in Indonesia. Yeah. So here, as you sit in your group of about 4 or 5, I have 4 cases here. So each of you will receive 1 piece. No. Yeah. So you will choose 1 case for your discussion. Yes. But of course, you will have all 4 cases in front of you, but your group can choose 1 and focus on that only. Yeah. And because I want you to have a different discussion and different case, can you let me know your group choose what case? Or you discuss? Do you need? Okay. Okay, time's up. Yeah? So can we learn from your group discussion? Any group that discuss question number 1 Any group? No. No. Okay, so number 2. Can I hear from group discussion case number 2? Yeah? So how would you counsel a couple who apply the principle of living, but then they must share housing with parents, which is sometimes is not possible, right? Those they need to leave, but yet certain condition they cannot leave to move outside and have to share. So what would you counsel?
What we discussed was when you try to counsel a couple that need to apply the principle of leaving, but they must share housing with parents. First, you check their understanding about marriage itself.
Okay.
And then check whether they understand the biblical principle of leaving itself. It doesn't mean that they need to live physically, but that means they need to live financially, emotionally, either making decisions or about their parenting skills and everything. And if they understand that, then there will be no problem. But if they don't, then it is our job as a counselor to counsel them and teach them the biblical principles. And maybe have a discussion with their parents. Because in the Chinese culture, like Andrea said, sometimes we the children are considered as children. Forever.
Yeah.
So that means we need to counsel them on how to talk with their parents and probably teach them how to do that. And maybe if it's possible, to speak with parents. That's really how we do it.
Thank you. Any add-in from other group that you discuss the same case and you want to add in? Yes, please.
Explain, make them realize their priority must be on their own marriage. Second, set boundaries to secure their privacy.
Yes. Thank you. Independent.
Show love or respect to parents or to parents-in-law by sharing domestic responsibility.
Thank you. So draw clear boundary and also to protect the privacy, respect the parents by sharing the chore. Okay. Financially? So here some cases is this, the children live inside and depend on the parents for food, for maintenance, for whatever, child care, Wi-Fi. So yeah, even cleaning have domestic help.
All the parents must do all the
So this is a practical, yeah. But then it needs to be discussed, as one of you suggests, that it have to be clear about the meaning of marriage, the living, and also need to involve the parents in the counseling process. So I see some churches that do very well in premarital counseling, that when they teach the living, they invite the parents of both partners to present, to learn that principle as well. So this is some churches here in Indonesia, they have practiced that. Not much. So now we learn from one another, yeah? We learn from one another. Yeah? So engage the parents in so that they can learn the principle together. Okay? And any other add-in from other group about case number 2? Now, the thing is, if there is conflict happen, okay, I bring back to question number 1. How can you know, how can I know whether I have left, even live in the same house? And if conflict happen, how would you deal with it? From spouse and parent. When there is a difference of opinion between parents and spouse, how would you handle? And any thought?
Come back to the lineage. There are 2 families. The border.
Should be communicated and decided with the spouse on how to handle it.
Okay.
And then communicated to the parents with as one, not as individual.
Wonderful. Yeah? So here come back to the principle of marriage. Both become one. And the spouse is priority. Right? So how can you know? Communicate how to communicate. Yeah? How can the partner be sure that the other, those stay in the same house, have left the parents? So either from the wife's side or from the husband's side. Normally stay in, the other is like keep their mouth shut. The husband is stay with the in-law, cannot take leadership. The wife, if move in there, also cannot say anything and suppress whatever feeling. So here how to do. In this way, during the premarital counseling, we have to handle. That's where ask specific, where do you plan to stay after marriage? Okay? If there is marriage that you need to be in, there's the session about definitely living, boundary, and communication here. The question you need to ask is, this is for the couple, right? For the couple. Do you have the assurance that you have the first place of love and affection in my life? Why or why not? So this is for the couple. Yeah, they need to discuss. Do you have the assurance that you have the first place of love and affection in my life? Why or why not? Second question. Do you have the assurance that if there were a conflict between you and my parents, you would have my support? Why and why not? Okay. So ask whether the partner feel that this man or this lady or daddy left their parents for marriage. If one of my parents encouraged me to act in violation of your wish for me, do you feel sure that I would respond to your wishes? So this is between the partner to us. Do you have the assurance that should the tragedy occur where I am forced to choose between you and my parents, I would choose to stand with you? And again, we hope, it's about personality oriented or not based on moral issues. If it's really happen in a moral condition, it's really hard. It means they do something really wrong or harm one another. But again, as you listen to my question for discussion for the couple, I can see that you start silence. Something is really serious that we normally don't know, not aware that many of us have not left our home yet. When the conflict between, then we start. My parents like this, your parents like this. I love my parents. And then I remember there is one pastor under training say like this. I have only one mother. I can have many wives. Only one mother. So I need to honor my parents. I cannot dishonor my mom. Right? So again, by saying something very Asian, Chinese mindset, right? That honor the parents. They have not embraced the principle of marriage. The spouse take priority, the love and affection when you decided. So the living here means I stand with my wife. So, and of course, for the parents, the insecure parents, or the parents that feel that it's very difficult to let go, the two partners also need to be prepared. They prepare in written letters or by verbal. Number one, they can ask their parent, do you feel that I respect and honor you? Okay? Do you feel sure that I will never abandon you if you are in need? The third thing, do you understand and agree with what I mean when I say that I am instructed in the Bible to leave father and mother as I get married? So as the partner prepare in written or verbal to converse, to communicate with their parents, that is where you say, if the pastor have to talk to the parents, but then actually if the children, grown-up children, mature children, they can reassure their parents this, they will never abandon the parents when the parents in need, and in what way that they have been respect and honor the parents. Okay? And then they also ask, do you understand that I need to leave father and mother as instructed in the Bible as I married? So then here is communicate to parents, here is communicate to their spouse, to their wife, so that they can work out in the relationship. If there is no clear communication about the living principle in a marriage, there is a mess. And a lot of things happen based on what principle to handle the conflict. We don't have. So see who is more power. Parents have money. Parents have house. They have the authority to say, and all have to follow. Then at the end, the couple don't satisfy with their marriage because they have not learned to cleave. They cannot live, so then they cannot cleave together. And so many voices, or parents say, this one say, and they get confused. That's where they don't learn to grow. So then be responsible. Some parents will use money as a way to control the children in the way they like, to control their grandchildren in the way they like. And at the end, their couple is still kids, as many of you say. The children are still children in the parent eyes, and they're not letting go. That is where the case number 4, how pastor can you educate your congregation, parents, to learn the principle of living, of how to parenting until the day that your children ready to leave you. So one of the tests of the parenting is the children able to leave without feeling guilty and shame or whatever. And they were able to come back with freedom. So many, because they try to hold the children back, actually they have not complete the parenting task. It's the task to let the kids grow into mature, individuation, differentiation, generalization, interdependent. It means they are able to go out of their parents, feel safe enough to face the world, the challenge, to build their life, and then they still can come back to visit, to honor, and to care. So I hope that some of you have discussed how, as pastor, church leader, can you educate or teach the biblical principle that how parents will educate and train their children until the living. There's one case come to me. Both children have the master overseas, right? Very young, straight high school, bachelor, master. So they complete master 24 years old. Then coming back. Since they know each other since very young, so the both parents, one is the oldest daughter, one is, I think maybe older son also, older or younger son. And then let them get married, right? They have no work. Financially, they don't. Don't worry. Parents, both sides can manage, right? The wedding party, a grand party, both sides pour out the money and cover every expenses. The house bought also by the parents. So they move out, but bought by the parents. So then, after that, the couple have a child. Have the maid, right? So after deliver a few months, they miss a fun time. So the children stay at home lah. Sleep with the maid or nanny, huh? And then they both go out and enjoy the party. And then when parents ask, how is your kids? I don't know. I miss fun time with my friends. Because the friends 24, 25 still have fun time, right? Working. So this is one example of how the couples have not left their home yet. And yet they don't learn how to be responsible for their own, for their children, and they still depend on the parents for finance, for emotional support, and of course there will be, my parents say this, my parents say this, my parents give me money this, your parents give you like this, it's not, my parents give me more, so I have more voice. That's how it's happened. So as part of the premarital counseling, if you have touched these issues, some of the couple may have decided it's not the time to get married yet. They definitely in love, but they are not ready yet. So then please help them. Help them by the parents need to understand as well and wait for the young couple to be independent financially before they get married, instead of for convenience sake, right? They want their kids to have children very fast, so education also want to high, so run. After that, want to have, I'm thinking like in Singapore, normally we use the word kiasu. Everything number one. Everything have to get fast and get number one. So education, they also want to get fast. And then children, they also don't want to be left behind. It means if married later, maybe not good, yeah? So married fast to have children. And then they leave out the principle. Okay? I think I stop here. It's already over the time, 10 minutes. Any last minute question? Oh yes, your question about the money. Okay, I think I will explain that before. I want to ask, what is the purpose for the separation of the wealth?
So after if they divorce, the wealth before they got married will not be touched.
Oh, so that is your case. Is this similar?
Most of couples will get for that reason.
Oh.
Now it's getting more and more couples.
So they married with the divorce ahead. So you know. So you know. Contract.
I think we can consider it as a contract, but how, as a counselor, we advise them while they insist that they will get, because, but keep it for sure.
It's very tough, yeah. Being a pastor, you need to marry people that they will not follow because they already have the condition. Well, on one hand, I'm thinking, I'm knowing that human being are, how to say, we all limited. We all live on contract. So even for helping young couple, we do start with some basic contract, being fair, yeah, and that is also healthy. Of course, the level of the spiritual maturity will really speak a lot in how they handle the money and how they handle the asset. So if they already think ahead, that's reflect to me the spiritual level, the trust level to God and to each other very low. So sure, the straight ahead of them will have a lot of problem. So we need to tell them this will be a problem also. It's not just about money. It's about trust issues. It's about the commitment. And the mindset of entering the marriage is not covenant. It's a contract. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, thank you everyone. See you tomorrow. Yeah, have a good rest.
Shall we start earlier tomorrow?
Impossible.
Thank you. Baik, kita telah menyelesaikan untuk modul malam pertama ini dan boleh kita berikan aplaus sekali lagi untuk Ibu Esther. Thank you, Esther. Ya, bersyukur ya ada banyak insight yang kita boleh dalami dan diskusikan bersama. Kesempatan yang baik sekali. Pernikahan itu satu yang sangat kompleks dan serius. Oleh sebab itu juga pembimbingan kepada mereka yang hendak melangkah masuk dalam pernikahan ini tentu juga harus sangat serius dan ditangani dengan baik dan lengkap sehingga tidak ada hal-hal yang ketinggalan yang bisa mengakibatkan hal-hal yang tidak baik di pernikahan mereka kemudian hari. Dan itulah yang semoga kita bisa cover dalam 2 malam ini. Tentu waktu yang sangat terbatas untuk isu yang begitu luas ini, tapi ya diharapkan paling tidak men-trigger hal-hal yang kita bisa pikirkan ulang untuk kita praktekkan di dalam pelayanan kita sehari-hari kepada pasangan-pasangan calon nikah ini ya. Baik, kita akan tutup dalam doa malam ini. Terima kasih dan harap besok kita bisa ketemu lagi semua dalam kondisi sehat dan antusias untuk modul yang kedua. Ya boleh minta Pendeta Petrus Suryo untuk memimpin doa penutup ya. Iya.
Tolong Tuhan berkati kami supaya 2 hari ini kami betul-betul dapat Tuhan bekali dengan segala hal yang dibutuhkan supaya kami boleh cakap, melengkapi pasangan-pasangan yang akan menikah supaya mereka betul-betul menjadi pasangan-pasangan suami istri yang untuk keluarga Kristen yang kuat dan benar. Mohon berkat Tuhan. Kami sebentar akan pulang supaya kami dalam perjalanan kami Tuhan jauhkan dari si jahat, jauhkan dari gangguan dan kecelakaan. Mohon berkat tentang Tuhan. Dalam nama Tuhan Yesus yang berdoa.
Amin. Baik, terima kasih Pak Petrus. Selamat malam semuanya, sampai besok ya.